You know, sometimes it seems as though we carry a lot around with us. And I'm not just talking about all the stuff in our heads, but also the stuff we carry around with us physically. I'm no exception. I always used to take a backpack with me whenever I was going into Sydney and try and make sure that I had enough in there that I would be entertained during any quiet moments on the train. But since the mid 2000s, I've always wanted a satchel. And just recently, when visiting the Rocks, I had the chance to get my hands on a good one. And it has changed how I approach traveling. Hello and welcome. My name is Rob Farker. I am a 40-something lover of sleek futures and cool machines who is bringing his personality and perspective to YouTube to talk about life, the universe and everything, and maybe how to do all of the above with a little bit more intent. As always, a quick note at the top of the episode. Please, if you like what you're seeing, give the episode a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And if you have a reaction to this video, please type out a polite, enthusiastic and constructive comment in the comments section down below. Doing so not only lets YouTube know that this channel is worth promoting, but that also lets me know that you are out there being engaged with what I do and might even help me create more content that engages you further. You know, I have always been a backpack kid. My memories of going to high school at North Sydney Boys and travelling to and from on the train in Mount Colah were of a laden backpack. I would put my exercise books in, my textbooks in, even an RPG book or two, which was kind of like my backup study option for some odd reason when I was a youngster. So yeah, as a result, I was always taking more than I genuinely needed. And don't ask me about getting a locker at school. I always felt like if I put stuff in the locker, what if I needed it for homework at home? So I would always lug back and forth everything that I might need during the day on the backpack, in my backpack on the train to and from. But in the mid-2000s, I discovered the benefits of a shoulder satchel when I bought myself a fabric Colorado one. Unfortunately, it wore out after not too long a time. Not only did the fabric start to wear through, but the metal fasteners through usage, I think I had a little netbook at the time, basically gave way at one point through too much friction. And so while I did have my eye out, I wanted to make sure I got something quality. And yet the prices that for the satchels that I encountered when I did find them did seem a little bit too much for my budget. Then a few weeks back, I was in the Rocks and I found a stall at the market that was selling leather goods, and I wound up buying this little beauty, which I have been using pretty much since whenever I decide to get the train from here in Sydney southwest into town, or even just traveling generally. And I feel like I have actually gained a bit of life back as a result. So let me put things in a bit more perspective. This is my backpack. It was bought back in Cairns after I got myself a new gaming laptop, and I bought it so that I could take my laptop with me, enabling to do stuff a little bit more on the workish front, like typing out documents when I was on the move. And it has come in handy a fair bit, especially when I was living in the Blue Mountains and wanted to take the long train ride to and from the city. Even when occasionally I was catching the plane, it would allow me to take my laptop with me and even my gaming controller and play a little bit of Burnout Paradise when I was sitting on the train and otherwise not doing much. But I did still always want to get myself a satchel, and even though there was a leather goods place in Lura, it just felt like the price was a little bit too much. But yes, I am now glad I have this thing because, in a way, even though I've not taken my laptop with me all that often, it does help me stick to the core essentials when I'm traveling and even help me live a bit more mindfully. Let me show you. The things that I make sure I take with me are a decent sized notepad and a paperback book, and they fit in quite nicely. Even though this satchel is of a decent size where it can take my tablet, if I may demonstrate, it quite simply it quite simply slips into the back pocket there. It still feels like a bit of an extra weight in this bag, and weight does become a concern because when I have this single strap over my shoulder instead of a couple of padded two shoulder straps, I do notice the weight and it gets uncomfortable pretty quickly. So I have a disincentive to overpacking. And some of that extra stuff is even the emergency kit that I would otherwise be bringing with me and that I find myself wanting to review. Because I do, like most people, have my phone with me. I do like to take a charger kit and a cable to connect it up to my phone. I also have the short cable that allows me to connect my charger to my power brick should I need to actually charge the power brick up a bit more. And listen to that term. I'm already saying power brick, even though it is a fairly comparatively small battery. I also like to take a spare notepad and pen. I usually do have notepad and pen in pocket, but there's this little bit of me that says they're not much extra weight, let's take them with. As well as a little fabric bag in which I have a couple of masks and a small travel pack of tissues. All of these things individually don't weigh much, but they do expand the space in my bag a little bit. And as such, I am thinking, well, maybe I can start leaving some of these things at home. Maybe not the packet of tissues, though. They always come in handy. And the restriction also means that I'm less likely to take my set of headphones with me. They are pretty expensive, and I find that when I'm packing my bag, fitting them in is a bit awkward unless I put them on top of everything else I've got in the main pocket. And while the while the flap over the top does go over, there's this bit of me that says, well, they could fall out and I might not notice, and then I am out another $170, $200 pair of headphones that I'd rather not spend the money on replacing. But the upshot of all this is the change to my travel experience. Because in some ways I have fewer entertainment options, it means that I'm more likely to just sit and be mindful and aware of my surroundings and also a little bit of what's going on in my head. With that notebook, I can sit and journal if I want to and tear the pages out and stick them in my home journal when I get back in. And bringing a single paperback with me means that I am using, I guess, I'm not sure whether passive is the right word, but at least it's a form of entertainment that isn't shining light into my eyes and is also, in a way, activating my brain. Even if I was reading on a phone, it's not quite the same experience. There is something more mindful about sitting down and reading a book and turning the pages. And you know, there is something about me that says, while this is not a bad backpack, it's not exactly the most, it looks kind of cool, but it's not exactly stylish. Whereas with this, well, even the lady who sold it to me at the market stall kind of mentioned it as the Indiana Jones satchel. And well, I like how it fits in with my idea of going on an adventure when I leave the house. Even if I might not quite be the Indiana Jones whip-cracking, breaking into ancient tombs and swiping relics type of person, it just still feels a little bit more open and daring and adventurous than a backpack does. So yeah, in closing, I do feel like with switching to the satchel, it has caused me to think a bit more about what I am taking with me when I travel and being willing to take a few more risks. I mean, even if my phone does die, it is not the biggest inconvenience. It will I will still be able to get home and then charge it up. And being without that entertainment or communication option was really not much of an inconvenience for the first 19 years of my life before I got access to a mobile phone. And I don't think it will be really too much of an inconvenience if I don't take my charge pack with me and travel a bit lighter. And I like how it has opened up my opportunities to sit and think and be aware of what's going on inside me and get those things out of my head through my hand and my pen and onto some paper so that I can actually review them later and see how I can become more relaxed and more confident and more courageous in life. But how about you? What is something that you carry out of habit that maybe you don't really need when you're out and about? And tell me, perhaps, if after you've seen this video, what is something that, tell me about the next time you go traveling and you look at the things that you're going to be taking with you. Maybe try leaving one of those things at home. And when you do, let me know what you left behind and how it changed things for you. Anyway, until the next episode, have a good time in the meantime. This is Rob Farker, signing off. Oh, almost forgot to mention, emergency pair of glasses too.